This meeting is being live streamed. Alrighty. 112. We got our title. Did you mean to put the good in there twice?
No.
Okay.
Oh, wait.
This meeting is being live streamed.
Oh,
Alrighty.
no.
Here we go.
Oh,
Here we
yeah.
go.
Well,
112. We got our title.
because originally I put the ugly at the end,
Ah,
but I think we can do the ugly first because I guess pretty amped for the rest of this.
yeah, that's fair. Okay. I'm ready if you are.
Okie
Hello and welcome to the Warrior House Podcast, where Warrior Pride lives. I'm your host, Ryan Reingart, joined by my co-host, Mike Sangster. Thank you for joining us on episode 112 of the Warrior House Podcast. Lots to talk about today, Sangster. Before we started recording, we talked about an episode title, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I just want to say I have yet to see that movie. I am a bit of a fan of old Westerns, and that's one of the biggest ones that I have not seen.
Likewise, I haven't seen it either, so don't feel too bad.
It's one of those dollar trilogy, I think is what it was, like part of like a
A spaghetti
three-part
western.
series. Spaghetti Western, yeah. But there's three different movies in there, that being the biggest one. I'm just like, one day I'll see it. But a
Yep.
lot of good, a little bit of bad, a little bit of ugly to talk about in this episode. And we get to wrap up a sport. It's the first one, I guess, and the second one of the 2025 to 26 season that we get to close out.
Yep.
Um, Although I guess we didn't. Yeah, we'll get into that a little bit. Let's start out with some ugly sangster. We do have to say goodbye to football season, but before we do that, let's talk a little bit about it. Let's talk about what happened. What do we got?
I think first and foremost, we just got to start on by saying I love Wayne State University. We'll just leave it at that for right now. Uh, Saturday, November 15th, football goes to Northern Michigan, and it is what it is. Football drops this one 45 to 11. Uh, Ends the season 0 for 0 and 11, 0 and 7 in conference play. First time they've done that in the 21st century. First time they've done that since they were the Warriors. Last time it happened was in '99. That's actually the only other time it's happened since Wayne State became a university. That one I was talking about in the '60s, there was actually a tie in there. So yeah, they went winless, but they didn't lose the entire season. It There's not that much to say in this game aside from the fact that it looked exactly like every other game that Wayne State has played, with a couple exceptions, and even going back to last season. Just, there are a few nice plays that keep Wayne State in the game. The other teams remember at some point that they're holding the belt. Wayne State's behind the woodshed. And guess what? Northern Michigan, they took us behind their woodshed in their giant wooden dome. Uh, this is Northern's biggest win since a 2022 victory over Post University. They play in one of the worst Division II conferences in the country, the NE10. Uh, Two of Northern Michigan's three wins and their two biggest wins this season that they haven't had since 2023 came after they fired their head coach, who also started in 2023 alongside, I believe, the Northern coach. The Northern coach, Michigan Tech, Scott Wooster at Grand Valley, and Tyrone Wheatley at Wayne State. If there was one positive, I think, from this game, it's that you didn't let uh, their star running back Noah Dobert get the Division II single game rushing record, which is I think it was like 415 or 430, something like that. He did run
It
for
was a
just
lot.
over 400 yards. Not that great, but he didn't get the Division II record. Just a side note, he's a redshirt freshman from Dearborn. Was anybody at Wayne State looking for this guy at any point, even in the
Yep.
transfer portal? So that's all I got on this game specifically.
Yeah, it was a rough one, and I'll just say it's probably, and like we talked last episode, no football game was going to ruin the trip to the Upper Peninsula. It's always a trip that we enjoy doing. So we got to be up there for. We got to enjoy the trip up there, stop off in St. Ignace, drive over the bridge, do all the things that we normally do, have a little bit of fun, head on out. So none of that was going to ruin it. But this was probably one of the worst games I think I've seen in all of my time at Wayne State. I mean, just it's one of those games going into it that you're like, okay, well, the season hasn't been great, but this game is still there until this game
Yeah.
was no longer there. And it was like it got so out of control so fast, as you mentioned, for a team that for a period of time went 2.5 seasons without winning a game. And
Yeah.
now all of a sudden it seems like things are looking up for them. Last week, we go against Roosevelt. All of a sudden things are looking up for Roosevelt. Everything seems to be looking up for a lot of teams, or at least some of the better teams, maybe they're not looking like Grand Valley. It's hard for things to look a whole lot more up for them. Things are down for them a little bit, and then there's us, which it's a sad downhill spiral. And
Yeah.
so it was a really bad game, but the season has gone in such a manner that didn't really go in expecting a win in this one. Was hoping for a competition. Maybe we could squeak out a win 1-10 season, but it didn't happen. It was in probably the worst manner I could have hoped for.
Yeah. Again, Northern just kind of took it to us in their woodshed, quite literally. Um, and we've been around this program a long time. We've seen some losses. We've seen some, impactful losses that have ruined potential runs to Division II playoffs. Uh, we've seen seasons where you have a bunch of one-score game losses. Hey, if you win a few more of those, you're having another playoff run again. That's 2014. Uh, you have a 2019 season where, hey, maybe if you find a way to win one more non-con game or don't necessarily get as blown out as they did against Ferris, maybe they're in the playoff. Maybe in a different world where if you have 8 teams in the seed in the bracket like they do this year, maybe that's a time when Wayne State gets in. We'll never know at this point in time, but we've seen a lot at Wayne State, and I agree that this one hurts the most. It's just that feeling that wow, they
We're that low.
yeah, it's just that low.
Yeah.
So what does it come to at the end of the day now, the end of the season, really? It is 6:10 on November 18th, 2025. And as far as we are aware, Tyrone Wheatley is still the head coach at Wayne State University. Uh, some anonymous sources, very good anonymous sources, I believe, uh, have told us that uh, wide receivers, coach Jimmy Hill and Antoine Robinson are no longer going to be coaching the team. Uh, both of them Wayne State alumni, different periods in time, but both Wayne State alumni. Uh, One thing we did notice that we neglected to mention as part of this game, looking at the sidelines, we did not. I think that J.C. McDonald was kind of in the booth, at least in certain games, but this time for sure, I saw that Coach Jimmy Hill had the play call sheet in his hand on the sideline this
Yep.
game around, and I'm only going to assume now that Coach McDonald is no longer going to be coaching the team as well. And when we get into the stats, unfortunately, it's kind of obvious why.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, like you said, unless play calling shifted, much like the Lions, where you just have somebody else holding the play calling sheet, we don't know for sure, but I think that's a very fair thing to think that a lot of personnel is changing here. So,
Yeah.
and it's
The
hard to
thing is,
argue against it. Hard to argue
yeah,
against it.
right. And the thing is, though, like when you're told that personnel is going to be changing, we've also been told that we're pretty smart. And when there's going to be personnel changes and there's one guy still left over, that's only meaning one thing right now.
Yeah.
And so it really just goes down to I don't understand it. Why is Coach Wheatley still here? Let's just break down that tenure for a little bit. It's 3 seasons in now. Wayne State has gone a whopping 5-28. Guess what? You have 2 more wins than what Northern Michigan has had in that same time frame. Uh, Offensive numbers, they haven't been exceptional at any point. They were improving last year. Now they've taken a nosedive going into this season, averaging about 17.4 points per game, 20.3 in 24, and now down to 11.7 points per game. And that's the stat that matters. Not only is that the lowest in the conference, I took a look and I found nationally that ranks 153rd. Guess how many schools in Division Two play football?
I'm going to guess 172.
157.
So there's three behind us, four behind us.
Four.
Yeesh.
Not great. Looking at rushing, it's again got a little better, then got significantly worse. 1,583 yards on the season, just about 1,600 yards the next year, 676 this season. Passing, 1,418 yards, 1,545 yards, 1,619. Okay, a little bit of improvement there, but guess what? You gave up all of your rushing production to get that. And last but not least, on the offense, third down conversion. I think this was the biggest, aside from the rushing game, just not getting much of anything going. Third downs, starting at 35% conversion rate, 30, 33, 35. This year, 19%. Just nothing, absolutely nothing getting going on offense at all this season.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's just one of the things we didn't really mention there before we get into some of the defensive stats. There is we had an offensive coordinator for the first two seasons, which was Coach Demasi, somebody who we really enjoyed, talking to him and all that. And then this last season, I mean, you see that we know Demasi ran a triple option offense. That was really what he brought in, a little bit of triple option, but they were very much.
Well, he did say it's more of a spread option, it's got option concepts. I wouldn't say it's not what Northern was running. Northern was definitely running a pure triple option. I'd call it, I think he's called it the go-go offense, similar to what
go-go offense is what it was.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's got a little more passing concepts, but same deal.
Yeah, but that was a very much a run-heavy offensive scheme, and now we kind of moved away from that. We definitely saw that there was a little bit of a less of a attention on that, and we saw the passing game go up a little bit, and we saw the rushing game go down a lot. So I just wanted to call that out. That offensive coordinator position changed, and things got very, very worse. But defensively, Sangster, what do we got on defense?
Defense, it's more of the same. First two seasons, averaging 32.8 points given up per game, 31.1, 39.9. The thing is here, the yardages actually did get better. Pass defense did improve. Running defense was significantly improved until we ran into Noah Dobert, and he kind of brought it back to where it had been the past two seasons. So at the end of the season, not really much changed aside from the fact that more point. And I should point out that I couldn't actually get the stat to break down between pick sixes and what do you call them? Special teams, punt return touchdowns. That did happen as well. So not necessarily in every game was it the defense's fault, but there were a lot of games that exceeded that kind of average. Again, compared to the rest of Division Two, that is 148th out of 157. Still not acceptable. I think that now I believe now that Roosevelt was actually able to get past that stat now. So I think that we ended up with probably the worst team in the conference. And either way, definitely one nationally that did not stack up.
Yeah, I see you got some stats on here about special teams real quick here. 5 for 12 on field goal, 14 for 14 on point after touchdowns. That doesn't really move the needle for this team. So, I mean, it just 5 for 12 is just ultimately not good. Does that lead to more wins for this team? No, probably not. I mean, maybe the Finley game, maybe that makes a bit of a difference there, depending if we went back and saw how many missed field goals we had there, right. Or any of the special teams. Maybe it makes a difference there, which, wow, you look back at that Finley team that we played, and it's that's a pretty decent team there that we were able to compete against.
That's a playoff team.
and then just this disgusting slide downhill the rest of the season to where you can't even show up and keep hold your own against, you know, I guess the teams that are above you in GLIAC at this point, because everybody is. But yeah, I just that one there, and I think the one that hurts the most here, Sangsters, when we talk about the home attendance. I mean, at the end of the day, like this is students should show up, alumni should show up, maybe faculty shows up, fans show up, parents show up, all this sort of stuff. That's gone down a lot. Percentage wise, it's gone down a lot.
Yeah. Looking at the last year of Paul Winter's tenure, averaging about 3,055 attendees per game in 2022. Uh, it- there was an immediate slide really in 2023. I know there were a few weather games also that didn't really help. And so they ended up going to 2288. I think I flipped that around. They actually got down to 2809, dropped down to 2288. Want to know what it was? We already talked about this.
Yeah.
It was 1,645 attendees per game in 2025. And
Yeah.
I think there might have been one weather game. The rest
Yeah.
were that's not the excuse. It's just it's the vibe around this team, and it feels if low, if not lower than 2022. 2022 was rough. And even in 2022, when we were talking to people, there were a lot of people that were still defending Paul Winters here, despite that 2021, despite 2018, despite what they were seeing in 2022. There was at least a solid selection of guys that still wanted him to be around the team, and I get it. He's had a lot of good grace built up from that 2011 season and some of the seasons surrounding it. That hey, we were getting to six, seven
Hey.
wins. I have to smile about something. At least to that amount of wins that we were at least considering some kind of playoff runs.
Yeah, like
Didn't
that 2019 season, 8-3, big Grand
yeah,
Valley win there, get the wooden shoes back. It didn't happen that often. So he did this. We weren't that far
yeah,
removed from it, but yeah, you're exactly right.
yeah. That at least it was a competitive team, and so there was an argument that you could make for this. I've ran into a few now, 2 days later, but during the season, there was nobody actually at the games that we talked to that I felt like, oh, they absolutely want to have Coach Wheatley do his last year uh, of his contract here. So again, the only thing I'll leave out here is if you feel so compelled, we've had a look at Coach Wheatley's contract. He has one more year coming up, 2026 season. If it's not extended, presumably they'll move on absent a major turnaround. There is a clause in there that if the university feels that his win-loss record is not up to snuff, then he could be terminated for cause. Now, granted, that's at the discretion of the university. That is, and that could be a variety of people. That technically in
Well,
the contract, it's defined as the board of governors,
yep,
and then
exactly.
the president and the athletic director sign off at the end of it. So it could be a variety of folks, but there is some power structure here uh, that's trying to determine that. And if complaining about it on Twitter won't do anything, complaining about it here, we're reporting it to you, but it's not going to do anything. If you truly feel the need, write a letter. And you know what? Maybe it'll make. I did it. I haven't sent it yet. I don't know if I'll send it. It at least made me feel better. And at the very least, even if nothing comes of it, we can at least move on to next season once kind of the emotion is worn off of it.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, that was a very interesting finding there today. So I mean, for what it's worth, from my opinion, goodbye football. I'm really not sad to say goodbye. I'm done with the season. But that's where we're at there. I mean, we'll have to see what happens there. Of course, as you mentioned, Sangster, we've already heard some rumblings of some changes happening. We don't know the extent of all of the changes, and unless something big comes up, we'll report back on that, anything that we hear. But if everything kind of stays as is, we're not going to be talking about football really until the springtime, unless
Right.
some like I said, unless some big moves happen there. So yeah, hands down, the most disappointing football season I've ever experienced as a Wayne State person, as a student, alumni. This has been the worst one to me by far.
Yeah, there have been, like I said before, we've had letdowns. We've had, 2-win seasons. We've seen them, but at least it was fun football to watch. At least you didn't feel like you were going to get boat raced every single game. And every single game, except for that Finley game, has played out exactly the same way. And even, like I said, even going back to last year, they've played out largely the same way, aside from Wayne State managing to snag 2 wins against Roosevelt and Northern last year. They couldn't do it this year. And so I'll leave it with that. What I need to not even feel good, but to just not feel completely awful. And this is something I've mentioned before that years ago, uh, with the last athletic director, back when they did print magazines, they would always have started out with a letter from the AD. And early on, they were really informative letters. They would tell you about what was going on at Wayne State, why certain things were happening, what they needed to take Wayne State to that next level. Later on, they kind of got a little rambly. They were just anecdotes and not all that helpful. What I need now is I need a letter. I need a press conference. I need a video to say, hey, here's what we see. Here's why Coach Wheatley is presumably coming back. Here's what we want to do in 2026 to get this thing righted. Because if this thing doesn't get righted, if we have not even the same season, sure, it's entirely possible they go winless. I really hope they don't. And statistically, that's highly unlikely. But even if they come back out and say 2 wins, 3 wins, that's still not great. And then we're back to square one. So
Yep.
outline a plan for what needs to happen in 2026. Stick to it. And so that's just what I need to have happen. And I'll end it on that. What gets lost in translation through everything we said, and I mentioned it on Twitter before, is that I cannot thank the guys enough who have stuck with this throughout this entire season. There are seniors here that have not had a winning season of Wayne State football. And so to all those guys who finished this out, I want to say thank you for being here. Thank you especially to these guys that, hey, going into next season, maybe 2 seasons from now, if you still believe in the green and gold, no matter who's in charge, no matter what coach you've got, if you believe that Wayne State is a great place to be, and in the portal area, you can choose to be anywhere. I hope you choose to be here, and I want to thank you in advance if that's the choice you make.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, it's obviously very, very tough. Nobody wants, if you're on a team, you want to go out there, you want to win games, you want to be competitive, you want to be, the last one with the ball in your hands with the opportunity to go win a big game. That has not happened since after 2020. And that's a really tough thing. And for a lot of the guys, like you said, Sangster, have been wearing the same jersey, showing up to the same facilities, answering to the same coach, roughly the same coaches and all that. Like that's definitely, I know that's tough. But yeah, at the end of the day, I mean, the school, there's one thing that I just admire more than anything. I mean, go out there, do the best job. You can't show up every day, but having pride in where you go. And
Yeah.
that means something to you. That is so impactful to me. So, I mean, I completely agree with you. Shout out to all of the players who have stuck around so far. So that's what we got on football. Sangster, bummer of an end of the season, but it's kind of been a bummer season. So it's the end of this portion of the this time of the Warrior House podcast. And as I always say, I know there's a lot of people out there that follow us for the football content. One, thank all of you. This may be the last time you listen to an episode. But as we see everybody, and we still get to see a lot of people, they still say they listen all the time. I really do appreciate that. I do highly recommend that you please continue listening because there's a lot of other sports, much like these football players. There's a lot of other athletes with this Wayne State program, and a lot of these teams are doing some very, very impressive things. We're going to get into that in just a couple of minutes here, but highly recommend if you can and you have any sort of appetite, please make it out to any one of these other sports. Follow us, continue listening along. All of these athletes deserve it. So with that, Sangster, let's get into it. The next thing that happened over the last weekend, Wayne State men's basketball, they were home on Friday, November 14th against Michigan, Dearborn. Wayne State was able to go out and win this one 101-66. A big name coming by way of Macomb Community College. Jotham Nowacki led the way with 18 points here. Also, we had Devin Bell, who's a transfer from Lakeland Community College, just east of Cleveland. Also, Jordy Briggs, a guy from the west side of the state, who I believe is now a junior. We're following it up as second and third place scores for Wayne State. And, well, as I said, Wayne State scored 101 points in this one. We won by a lot. So it does look like the entire team, but the Gatorade jug played in this game. So everybody got some time. Everybody got out on the court. Is a really good one to see. The stat sheet just, it looked like 18 players, probably 15, I think is the max, but like everybody got some time in this one. So that was fantastic to see. So Wayne State gets the win that they absolutely needed to get in this one.
Yeah. And I think that the big thing here is that Wayne State started out extremely fast. They only allowed the Michigan Wolverines of Dearborn to have 16 points. Wayne State scored 52. So there have been a couple of years where this game against Michigan Dearborn has been close. This certainly was not one of those. Looking at the second half, the score is a lot closer. Actually, Michigan Dearborn got ahead of Wayne State by 1 point. By then, the game was out of reach. I can only assume by that point that most of our bench, again, like you said, that everybody except the Gatorade jug was playing here. So I'm assuming that guys towards the bottom of the bench were able to get some serious minutes against somebody that isn't your own teammate. So somebody that you're not necessarily going to be able to predict their next move, things like that. So really the first big test now for Wayne State basketball came on Sunday, November 16th, on our way back home from Northern Michigan. Men's basketball was playing at home against Ashland. Unfortunately, in this one, Ashland won 76-64. Kind of something we thought about going into the season is without the massive guard play and the shooting that comes with it, what's going to happen to the 3-point percentage? And well, against Ashland, it was a bad day from 3-point land. 6 for 33, 18%. Rest of the stats were pretty even between both squads. Definitely a defensive battle going into the second half. Your leading player on the day was Jotham Nowacki. He had 17 points, 2 assists, 5 rebounds, and 4 blocks. Certainly looking like the biggest pickup that Wayne State has had this season so far.
Yeah, well, there's definitely a need for offensive production, and it certainly seems like he's bringing that in. Jordy Briggs, of course, is going to be a big one as well. So, I mean, that's fantastic to see. But yeah, when we talk about three-pointers here, I mean, usually if you can shoot somewhere between that 30 to 35% feels like a good number to kind of click. If they're able to do that in this one, they're basically right around a tie. Maybe they're not forcing up so many shots down the way, trying to make up some points. Maybe that makes a difference here. But yeah, I mean, just looking at the stats there, turnovers, assists, rebounds, free throw percentage, all that sort of stuff was very, very similar. The only one that wasn't really between the two of them was that 3-point number. So bit of a bummer there. But again, looking at the fact that, this is a team that had quite a bit of turnover, a lot of different names in the starting lineup here. And it was a much smaller lineup that played in this one. So the team definitely knew that this is one that like you gotta figure out who are your guys, who's your core, get them a lot of minutes. This is going to pay dividends down the line, them understanding how to play alongside of each other for a lot of minutes in a game. So bummer, but
yeah,
not a bad first weekend.
Yeah, I did find one other point of differential between these two teams and probably the story of the game and the reason why Wayne State couldn't pull this one out. Wayne State did have a pretty good free throw shooting percentage, 6 for 7, 85.7%.
Did you say 6-7?
Oh my God, it's
Please
I found
continue.
it in the Bible. I found it in Wayne State stats. Here's your problem though. Ashland was 17 for 18. They got to the line significantly more than Wayne State did, and it all came in the second half. Wayne State, Ashland got to the line twice in the first half. They got there 16 times in the second.
Yeah, so they were able to make some.
That's not going to help. Yeah,
no, it's not. But again, you kind of close out the weekend here. A couple of things changing. Wayne State, the men's basketball team, is looking like they have some sort of foundation in place to be able to compete in some of these games. Yep. Now, Sangster, a team that, if we want to talk about right now, Ryan's hot take, team of the winter, I'm kind of feeling like it's going to be this Wayne State women's basketball team. It feels like things are really shaking out that way. That when volleyball taps out, who we will get to in just a couple of minutes here, tapping out meaning their season is over. This Wayne State women's basketball team really may take the spotlight here. So, what happened back on Friday when we were in the Upper Peninsula? We were following along with this game. And the Malone was hosting Wayne State in this one. Malone did win this one 75-65. And honestly, Wayne State let this game slip right away. We were leading by 8 points heading into the fourth quarter, and Malone outscored us 29-11 to close out the game. Why does that make me feel good? Well, it's one of those like close out the game. We have a lot of returning names for this Wayne State basketball team. Play this game out 2 or 3 more times. This isn't going to happen again. So we had everything in place to be able to win this game. It just didn't happen. So definitely a bummer not to win this one here, but all the signs for me point to Wayne State being a quality basketball team. Apparently, McKenna Ferguson is looking for all GLIAC honors because in this game, she got 23 points, 2 assists, 5 rebounds, 1 block, and 7 steals. She's going to be very, very active on defense, and it certainly seems like that. As a collective whole for this team, Wayne State in this game, 18 steals. And we're not done talking about steals. We'll be talking about that here in the second game. But that's fantastic to see. I mean, it's just one of those, like the final quarter of that game. It wasn't even the full 10 minutes that Wayne State was really struggling. But I remember following along and watching this one thinking like, man, they were so close to winning this one. And we did think that this was the game that if Wayne State, was going to be able to come back with a 1-1 record on this away trip, this was going to be the one that they were going to need to get. It didn't happen. But what happened the next day, Sangster? Well, Wayne State headed on over to Ashland, who was number 6 in the country, and Wayne State wins 81-77. How about that?
How about them Warriors? Consider going into this game that Wayne State had played the at least then number 3 team Texas Women's College or University close 56-61. They're going against another top 10, arguably could be a top 5 team depending on what day you're looking at. Ashland, definitely one of the elite teams in D2. Ashland, one that we're familiar with, one that we haven't won in Ashland since 2013, I believe the stat is, and probably not that much longer at home either. Wayne State goes out and decides to win this one, 81-77. Huge game for Wayne State now. 4 big scores in this one. Taylor Thompson with 19 points, Gabby Lutchko with 18 points, Lexi Boyke with 15, and McKenna Ferguson with 10. Kind of the players you expected going into this season to be your leading scorers. They certainly led the way in this game.
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, Lexi Boyke was off the bench in this one. You could fact check me on that if you can, Sangster. I believe she was off the bench for this game, though. One of the interesting things for this one, only 13 three-point attempts for Wayne State in this one, and a lot of the points that we got came from in the paint. So, clearly this coaching staff knew that if we were going to win this one, it was going to be in the paint, and that's exactly what we did. And again, while Sangster is still fact-checking me on this one, I mentioned that we were going to talk about steals again. 11 steals in this game. And again, this is number 6 team in the country. That's a big-time team. I can only assume that means they were returning a lot of talent, brought a lot in either through, freshmen or transfers or what have you. People out there think this Ashland team is very good, and they are very good. But 11 steals. It certainly seems like Wayne State's going to be a very scrappy team on defense, and they're just going to be active with the hands. A lot of that feels like it's a credit to McKenna Ferguson coming up the court against the point guard, making them feel uncomfortable. It's feeling to me so far like that's what's happening there.
Yeah, you're 100% right with that. And you're also 100% right with that Lexi Boyke did come off the bench in this one. You're definitely your first player off the bench here, averaging, she had 21 minutes in this game, most out of any of the non-starters here. So, yeah, outstanding stuff for her to come off the bench and be that sixth player for him.
Yeah, and the big one here, I think you already mentioned it. This is the first win at Ashland since 2016. And I had to go back. Oh, 2013. Yeah, you're all right. Since 2013. I had to go back to figure out when was the last time we had a top 10 win. It was back in 2015 in the NCAA tournament against then number 7 Drury. That's the
Wow.
last time I was able to find that the Wayne State women's basketball team had a top 10 win, and this happened away. So that's fantastic to see. So, really, really cool stuff. Again, all signs are pointing towards that this is going to be a very, very competitive team, a very fun one to follow. And I don't know what the ceiling is for them at this point. Like, I don't really know where I'm gauging them at, but so far it feels like this could be the team of the winter.
Yeah, there's certainly a lot of basketball to be played left in the season, but so far it's shaping up. We've seen a lot in this not in this heavy non-conference schedule that yeah, they can make some noise, and certainly there's still things to clean up. Again, dropping one to Malone, who surprisingly now is a pretty decent basketball school. Didn't used to be that way, but again, we got to figure that one out. But hey, you split 1-1 in your top 10 matchups on the season. I'd say that's an excellent way to begin.
Yeah, kind of closing it out here. McKenna Ferguson, we mentioned the number of steals that she got.
Yep.
Defensive Player of the Week for the GLIAC. All very much deserving. And honestly, she probably could have made an argument for Offensive Player of the Week too. I mean, just like really, really showed up all around. If we really wanted to come down to it, she might be the GLIAC Player of the Week for GLIAC women's basketball. Really cool stuff from her. So last but not least, Sangster, we're definitely cutting down the number of sports we're talking about here because we are getting into a postseason play for volleyball. But before that, we're going to recap really quick the final weekend of regular season play. On Thursday, again, we weren't able to make it to this one because we were heading on up to the Upper Peninsula. Wayne State hosted Grand Valley. Now, this was an all-important game to break a three-way tie at the top of the GLIAC. Wayne State made it happen. Wayne State was able to win this one 3-1. Grand Valley did take set number one here, and after that, I mean, Wayne State dominated in sets 2 through 4. It wasn't really competitive statistically. Leah Baldwin was the star in this one. 20 kills and a 563 attack percentage. Again, for those who don't really pay attention too much to volleyball or haven't heard us talk about this, 56.3% of the time that Leah Baldwin was, going down for a spike, that was ending up at a point. So that's kind of a little bit what that means. Of course, the next two big time players for the Wayne State team in this one were both of the Kaylas. That's Kayla Giroux and Kayla Dalgar. Really good stuff from there. We did run a pretty slim team in this one. We didn't have a whole lot of players out there. And I think because we knew that that was a very all important game. And like, this is the team that we need. We need to get this win. We need to make sure that we have ourselves in a position for the outright 2 seed or maybe the 1 seed, depending on what Ferris State did. Spoiler alert, Ferris State was able to handle their business. So they do end up as the number 1 seed in the GLIAC. But before we talk about GLIAC tournament, there was one other game that had to happen. Just a little bit of a curtain call, if you will, at this point, Sangster, for the Wayne State volleyball team taking on Purdue Northwest. What do we got in that one?
Yep. Senior night, Friday, November 14th. Again, we couldn't be here for that one. Wayne State just wanted to send their seniors out in style, be respectful of time, let everyone have a chance to have another night in Detroit, even though they'll be here for a while. They just went out and won this one 3-0. Lauren Essenprice got a lot of attention in this game. She had 8 kills at a .412 attack percentage. Kayla Giroux, no shock, 18 kills as well. Also in this game, I'm trying to get the just kind of the score breakdown between. Again, Wayne State swept this one. Kind of close in the first and the third, not as close in the second. Overall, Wayne State had won this one 25-22, 25-19, and 25-20. So overall, Wayne State dominated the stats in this one. Aside from blocks, Wayne State has 6. Oh my geez. Wayne State had 6 blocks. Purdue Northwest had 7.
We're just throwing it all out there. We're just going to keep talking about that.
Just keep running to 6-7, 6-7. But yeah, overall, Wayne State dominated this one in what could have been a letdown spot. Senior night, it's very important, but again, an emotional win over Grand Valley. Maybe a little bit of scoreboard watching to see what I think Ferris is going to play the next day, but standings watching to say, hey, for a little bit, we would be at the top of the standings chart. But Wayne State doesn't let down in this one. They handle their business against Purdue Northwest, who ended up finishing the season 13-11, 7-8. So kind of a middle of a road team here.
Yeah, the last note here, Kayla Giroux does end up getting defensive or GLIAC Defensive Player of the Week. I wanted to pull up the stats on this one. She did end up over those two games getting, or two matches, getting 13 blocks, ends up being about almost two blocks per set, and a handful of those that were solo blocks. So that's one thing I haven't really looked into too much about how the stats are for blocks. But in her case, of course, she's right up on the net. She's she's killing the ball or blocking the ball, and in this case, she made it happen there. So shout out Kayla Giroux. We've been talking about her. I think it's her fifth GLIAC accolade of the season. So she's just arguably one of the best in the country. It certainly seems like. So that's what we got. But that's not the end of volleyball, Sangster. We will be talking about them. Big time stuff coming up for them here in the second half. So with that, we're going to take a quick break, and we will be back to talk about just a couple of sports. We're down a little bit, but we'll be right back. Okay. Bye. For those YouTube folks out there, Sangster went off camera and went on mute because he had to go to the bathroom. This message has been brought to you by whatever the heck he was drinking. I don't know what he opened up. And little does he know that Michigan State basketball is playing right now at Kentucky. There's 15 minutes left in the first half, and Michigan State is up 12-10. What else we got tonight? We got Western Michigan at Northern Illinois. We got the Red Wings hosting the Seattle Kraken. We got Eastern Michigan at Detroit Mercy. That's a really fun one. And then we got the Pistons, who are 10 in a row on wins, I think, something like that. They're doing really well. They are in Atlanta. So
Without like their entire
absolute.
starting lineup.
Yeah, I mean, Cade Cunningham has been out for a little bit. Jalen Duren sat. Of course, Jaden Ivey's still out. Tobias Harris is sat a little bit. And the Pistons are still just killing everyone.
Are you gonna get the Cade Cunningham shoes?
Yes, I'm absolutely going to get them. Yeah, there's no doubt in my mind that I'm going to get those.
Oh,
My
yeah.
Pixel buds are dying.
Uh-oh.
I'm gonna charge one at a time, and hopefully I can last with one of them. Did you hear my point about the fact the Michigan State's playing right now?
Yep.
Yeah. So they're in it.
It's a big game.
Tis a big one. Alrighty. What do we need for the second half here? Anything?
I don't think we can blow through it.
Get to the exciting volleyball happening. Okay, let me get Vizard pull up so I can actually let me also get the YouTube thing pulled up so I can pull that link immediately. I'm gonna definitely try to prioritize some volleyball posts to start.
Football.
Okay. Yeah, but yeah. Unless Vizard happens to think that there's some cool women's basketball stuff for tomorrow. I guess they're tomorrow, right? Yes, they're at 6 o'clock tomorrow. Well, yeah, unless something comes up for them, then I'll post something. So
Hey,
maybe I'll
what time is the women's basketball game at, and what time is the volleyball game at?
Alpha helping us out. 6-7. Alrighty. Are we ready?
Indeed.
I see you typing something. I'll give you a second.
We're good.
Okay. Cool. Let's do it. And we're back. So, as mentioned, Sangster, we only have three sports to talk about. A huge one coming up, and we're going to save that sport for the end. Spoiler alert, it's volleyball, but we're going to start out with Wayne State women's basketball, currently sitting at an overall record of 2-2. Their conference record is 0-0, so not quite to conference play yet. A lot of cool stuff coming up for this team. But first off, on Wednesday, November 19th, so one of those funky middle of the week games, which don't normally happen, especially as we get towards conference season. They're taking on Hillsdale, and this is happening at the Wayne State Fieldhouse. Hillsdale's currently at an overall record of 2-0. One of those wins is against Purdue Northwest, so a GLIAC opponent for Wayne State. And just to be clear, Wayne State is a few plays away, and I do mean a few plays away from being 4-0 with two top 10 wins this season. As you mentioned, Sangster, possibly two top 5 wins this season over Texas Women's University. They did get the win over Ashland, and of course, that game against Malone, as I mentioned, they had the lead for most of that, with the exception of, a very, very late game breakdown and all of the stuff that happened with that one. This team could be 4-0 and arguably a top 10 team in the country. They're probably not going to quite be there, but they're that close to it. And I think that kind of really exemplifies why the excitement is there for us right now with this team.
Yeah, 100%. It's going to be another Division II Midwest region game for Wayne State to play. Luckily, within the confines of the Wayne State Fieldhouse now, hoping to at least be able to catch a half of this before that next upcoming game. But there's also going to be a women's basketball game on next Wednesday, November 26th at Northwood. It's going to be at 2:00 though, so that Wednesday right before Thanksgiving, when kind of everybody might be just getting out of work. Maybe you took that day off. If you're going up north and happen to be going through Midland and you're a Wayne State fan, might be a good time to go check out Wayne State women's basketball. Northwood comes into that game 2-0. They have wins over Saginaw Valley and Lake Superior State. Another big test, I think, for Wayne State women's basketball here, because Northwood has already beaten those two GLIAC teams, might be more of an indicator of what we will see this season.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this is definitely a very interesting. Just talking about the scheduling there, a very interesting for this Wayne State women's basketball team. And part of me is like, they got this. They can go and make these 2 wins happen. I mean, we've seen what they've been able to do so far, and you front load your schedule with teams like Ashland, who we generally do play, but then you go to Texas to take on 2 big name teams down there so that you can come back and take on games like this and feel as comfortable as you can, knowing that, like, we got this. We can make it happen. We've been here. We've taken on tough competition before. We got this. And I like to think that this is where this team is at. So, the next time we talk about this team, I really do hope we're talking about a team that's 4-2 overall and really kind of inching closer and closer towards conference play. That's what my hope is. It certainly seems very feasible for this team. So we'll have to see here. So very, very best of luck to this Wayne State women's basketball team as they stay in town. And then again, this very awkwardly timed next match up in Midland against Northwood. Hoping match. Well, here we go again. We do it every season. This game at Northwood. So good luck to our Wayne State women's basketball team.
Well, we got another game or games to talk about here. With the men's basketball team, they are 1-1 right now. And they have a game, not a match, game coming up on Saturday, November 22nd. At home against Northwood, not in Midland, in Detroit. Saturday, 3:00. Right now, Northwood's men's basketball team is 1-1, which does not include their win over Western Michigan. Right now, they did beat 2 other GLIAC schools, Ferris State, and then they lost to Lake Superior State. Side note, going into this season, there are no excuses against Ferris this year. Ferris replaced their longtime coach, Andy Bronkma, after he went to Central with some other guy, and I blank on his name right now. Well, it turned out that guy wasn't a good person, and we'll just say he got resigned by the university. So there's an interim there right now. Who knows? We'll see how he does. They might make him the head guy. But as of right now, I don't think there's going to be any excuse against Ferris. I don't think it's going to be the same Ferris team we've seen in years past. But nevertheless, Northwood did beat them, and they have that Division 1 win. And like we've said, it's another GMAC GLIAC crossover type game, another Midwest region. Yeah, you got to do a lot to earn an at-large bid, but any wins you can get here will help. Also, continuing on with that GLIAC GMAC matchup is on Tuesday, November 25th. Again, kind of weird timing. Men's basketball will be at Findlay uh, in Findlay, Ohio. Right now, Findlay is 2-0. They have wins over GLVC teams, Truman State and Quincy. They had an exhibition game against Toledo. Findlay put up 103 points. This is aiming to be well, let's back up. Findlay wants this to be a shootout. I think Wayne State's goal in this game is going to be to limit them as much as possible, play some lockdown defense against them.
Yeah, I didn't look too much into, but like as far as I know, either you're playing the system offense, which I don't think Finley is doing. I think they're shooting a lot of threes and relying on threes to go down to be able to get that many points.
Yep.
That certainly seems like that's the way that's going to happen. And maybe Toledo, because I think in that game, Toledo put up 123. So like, I mean, that's a really like that's NBA scoring. That's almost above what NBA scoring does.
They
So
were
we'll
playing a
definitely see
G League game.
what's that?
They were playing a G League game.
Yeah, honestly, yeah. Go shoot the ball, listen to doom 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 doom. But yeah, so really good stuff here. Another good opportunity for this Wayne State men's basketball team. They've shown some promise. They've definitely shown some promise so far. It's a little bit, I can't think of the right word. We don't really know too much about this team yet. They're still really getting it together. We're seeing some good results. We're seeing some good efforts from them. I mean, like we just said, they're 1-1 right now, and they've had some really good showings. This is going to be a pretty telling week, I think. How do you stack up against a team like Findlay, who seems to be an offensive powerhouse so far? How do we stack up against Northwood, who, as you mentioned, Sangster took down a D1 team, regardless of how good Western Michigan is? Don't really know how good or not they are, but regardless, that's a D1 team that probably recruits a bit more just because of the stage that they're on. So definitely interested to see what comes out of this coming weekend for this Wayne State men's basketball team.
Yep. Sport of the fall. As we wrap up the fall, volleyball.
Yep.
Volleyball is the GLIAC uh, regular season champion, co-champion, if you want to word it that way, tying with Ferris State to get a share of that title. Yeah, you can call it co-champion. It doesn't matter. It goes in the rafters as a championship team. They end the regular season 21-5 and 13-3 in the GLIAC. Let's look at those 5 losses real quick, just kind of see how that stacks up. Dallas Baptist, they're having a rough season. They squeaked out some early season wins, but kind of fell apart from there. One we kind of want to ignore is Davenport. They come into the GLIAC tournament as the 5th seed. It just seemed like an off day for Wayne State. And if we end up playing Davenport again, which could be possible, not saying it's likely, but it could be possible, I would shoe in Wayne State to win that rematch. Yeah. And then the last 2 losses to Ferris State, the top seed in the GLIAC tournament. GLIAC regular season co-champion by way of tiebreakers. We get the number 2 seed. They get the number 1. They've shown that they're beatable. They have losses on the season. Wayne State played hard against them too. Wayne State was within 2 points in 3 sets that we dropped in that first match. Similar story. Wayne State was within 2 points in 2 of the 3 sets that we dropped in the second. So could it come down to the 1 versus 2? It's certainly possible. And depending on where, well, it's going to be in Ferris if it comes down to that. But certainly Wayne State has a chance there. I forgot one more loss against Missouri St. Louis. Right now, Missouri St. Louis is 23-4. They're the best in the GLVC, and they haven't lost a game since September.
Yeah, so tough competition there.
You've got some quality losses, I think, for Wayne State right now.
Yeah, exactly. So, really, really, really intriguing GLIAC tournament coming up here. And we get to start out against maybe the most intriguing opponent that I think we could have gone up against. And that is on Wednesday, November 19th, happening at the Mathi. Wayne State is welcoming in Michigan Tech, who comes in with an overall record of 12-15, and they are 9-7 in conference play. Now, why are they the most intriguing? Well, for starters, we played them once. The only time we played them was up at Houghton. So they haven't been down to the Mathi this season. And I remember thinking, like, this is our one shot, back during the regular season. This was our one shot against this team. And we were able to get that win. And it was a very, very comfortable win. So, Wayne State made it happen. It was the same trip that we ended up going up and beating Northern, the one and only time that we played that. As you mentioned, Sangster, though, Fair State is the number one overall seed here. So just to throw it out in the universe as a possibility, if anything does happen to Fair State in the first round, Wayne State would host the weekend so long as we win this match. So this is definitely a very important one. And of course, you want to win this one. I mean, it feels like Wayne State wins this one. We're getting invited to nationals. I don't know where, or regionals, nationals. There's more season to be played as long as we win this one, is what it feels like to me. But in the chance that it comes out that Wayne State can host this coming weekend, now you're playing for GLIAC tournament champions. And even if you go to Fair State, you're still playing for GLIAC tournament champions. But just to say that that is an option. But again, as I mentioned, Wayne State only had a chance to play Michigan Tech one time. In that match, just looking a little bit at some of the stats there, Wayne State was able to limit the errors. And I will say, coming down the stretch a little bit, something that has increased a little bit is our service errors. But when I say that in that match, Wayne State was able to limit the errors, I mean at the set, at the a set and a set, serve, and block. So all of those errors were very, very limited, led to a very comfortable win.
Yeah, and kind of just looking ahead, and we're really hoping that Wayne State manages to win this game against Michigan Tech. Their next opponent would be either Northern Michigan at the 3 seed or Parkside at the 6 seed. Going back real quick to Michigan Tech, I was trying to see like what kind of puts them at that spot where they ended up in the GLIAC, and they look middle of the road in just about every stats. Looking at conference only stats, the one that really excels is assists. Uh, they average about 12.9 assists per set. It does lead the GLIAC. How far off that is from just about any other team, it really isn't. Uh, for instance, the number 8 seed is 11.4, number 5 seed is 12 even. So kind of all the teams that are in the tournament are going to have the same average amount of assists, but that just happens to be what Michigan Tech leads at. They also lead in kills. Ahead of Wayne State, actually, averaging about 13.75%. Wayne State 13.72. So a rounding error, really.
Yeah, honestly, didn't
Yeah,
carry the two.
yeah. So that's really where Michigan Tech leads. And again, we've beaten Michigan Tech already this season. Let's handle business again at home.
Yeah, talking about handling business, one last note here on Michigan Tech. Coming down the stretch, they've handled their business against who they needed to. They beat a lot of the teams that are lower in the GLIAC standings, and additionally, some of the teams that didn't quite make it into the tournament. They did what they needed to do.
Yep.
So they're feeling really good that they won what they needed to win in order to just get into the GLIAC dance, and they're in it now. And they get to come here. Again, this isn't something that they, in the back of their mind, I don't think they have memory of, oh, we played them earlier this season. This is the hotel that we stayed at. This is the door that we went into. They don't have that memory. So, they're coming into brand new territory thinking, we're going to do everything that we can to go take this team on, regardless of what happened against them earlier on in the season. Definitely a scary one. And that's why I say this is definitely the most intriguing opponent, I think, in my opinion, that we could have had to start this out. But that being said, this is a fantastic team. This Wayne State volleyball team is so good that they are just too good to not be able to make it far into this GLIAC tournament and to be able to get on the NCAA stage and really just let loose and go have fun and let the Kaylas take over and just,
Yeah.
I don't know, destroy everybody in their path. That's kind of what it feels like their destiny is.
Yeah, it certainly is shaping out that way.
So with that, we're going to do our best to be in attendance for this one. This is a big one. I know the Wayne State women's basketball team plays at 6 o'clock on Wednesday, November 19th. The Wayne State volleyball team is playing at 7 o'clock over at the Mathi. A lot of cool stuff going on Wednesday. So for those of you watching, hopefully some of these videos get out to the Instagram and TikTok world. Come out, support these teams. Definitely come out and support the volleyball team. If you have to pick one, I'll say it. Come support the volleyball team. This is a big one. And if you don't like volleyball, it's not your sport, you still want to get out and do something, go to basketball. Absolutely go support that team too. There's so much fun, and they're playing for a lot as well.
Yeah, and I think that wraps up this week, and it wraps up a sport for the fall. Second one we've wrapped up now, pending anything with cross country.
Yep, absolutely. So it seems like this is that time of the year we start to kind of wind down as we get through the end of the season here. So with that, good luck basketball, good luck volleyball. We'll be back to talk about it next week. If you come out to any of these matches or games, please come up and say hi to us. But with that, we appreciate everybody listening in on episode 112 of the Warrior House podcast.
And no matter what, whether it's good, bad, ugly, still a great day to be a Wayne State Warrior. Edge.
Nice.